lights and cameras and mirrors.
Oh, hello, it's your boy, Auteur Deluxe. One of my most fatal flaws, aside from caring too much and being too good looking, is I am very honest, and I've got to be honest on this one. The idea of shuffling my watch list and then reviewing whatever came up next was a terrible fucking idea, and I apologize. This is probably the worst way to introduce new viewers to my channel. There's no better way to put it. I got stuck with 3 fucking duds. I mean, I shuffled and I got 4 movies. Private Chat, I did a full review of Private Chat. That movie I really liked. It ended up being 3.5 stars. Between the next 3 I watched, I did not even get between them 3.5 stars. So here we go. First up was The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. This is a film that's been on my watch list for at least 5 to 10 years. I've just heard of it forever. You've seen that poster forever. It's lauded as this big surrealist masterpiece, and when I think surreal, I think of, Jodorowsky. I think of The Holy Mountain, where every shot could be framed and hung in a museum or your house or whatever. I think of Head, the Monkeys movie, which is kind of counterculture in a surreal way. Counterculture and very druggy. Also, Eden and After. That was a film I really liked that's shot in a way where it's almost like a cubist painting in the way that it's non-linear. You think of non-linear and you think of, Pulp Fiction and Memento. That's all there is. This movie is kind of like overlapping, and its whole thing isn't the way the time flows. It's just one aspect of it, and it's very sexy, very visceral, very visual, surrealist film, and I really like it. However, Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, I guess surrealist can also mean, weird shit happens, because this movie is not shot interestingly at all. There is not one interesting shot in the entire film. I think this might be my fault. Maybe that's just part of surrealist film also. I kind of fall into this with giallo. I love giallo films. However, I expect black gloves and a person getting stabbed in first person. I expect a lot of different colors. I expect, lens flares. I expect that visually out of a giallo film. There's a whole sect of giallo films that have nothing to do with that, and they're just boring detective procedurals. So maybe that's what happened here, is I expect something visually interesting from a surrealist film, and this one did not deliver at all. This movie was basically a very dry way of saying fuck the rich over and over again. It was very boring. It didn't keep my attention span. It did not engage me in any way whatsoever. I'll admit a lot of it was lost on me. I think a lot of things can just get lost on a viewer when a film is a little older. Whether it's culturally, whether it's a language barrier, a political barrier, or just a visual style. This film is a comedy, ? But I wasn't fucking laughing. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the weird kid in the fedora that says how funny Peter Sellers is in Dr. Strangelove. That's not funny to me. That's the same thing here. This is a movie that bored the absolute shit out of me, and I think someone on TikTok could say fuck the rich way more interestingly and save a lot of your time, and they do. Up next was Black Devil Doll from Hell. This is one that is a shot on videotape, VHS mess. It's kind of a proto-Chucky, proto-Child's Play thing, and it got put out by Massacre Video in about 2013. I heard on the Fogelnest Files, one of my favorite all-time podcasts, I heard there's a guy from Massacre Video and there's a guy from Vinegar Syndrome, and they're both discussing, the importance of restoration, the importance of, lost films, quote-unquote lost, and this is one of them. And it's always a coin flip watching these kind of films. AGFA teamed up with Something Weird and Arrow Streaming and put out a bunch of these movies recently, or a couple months ago, and they range in different genres and different tones and different levels of, quality, literal quality. And, some of them are really worth watching. I Was a Teenage Serial Killer is like a feminist slasher, and it's got something to say, and it's valid, and I like it. Another one is Who Killed Captain Alex, which is just an insane action movie from Uganda, where it's almost punk rock in the way that it's just, let's make a movie. I want to make a movie. I don't care about money. I don't care about knowing what the fuck I'm doing. I have a camera and I have some effects and I'm going to use them and I'm going to make this movie. Another one is Bat Pussy. This is a weird porno where people don't even really ever end up having sex, and it's just the ugliest people you've ever seen in your life screaming at each other. And in that kind of found film canon, I think Black Devil Doll does kind of rise above. I think unwatchable is subjective. A movie can be anything but fucking boring, and Black Devil Doll isn't boring. The sound is terrible at points. You can barely hear anything. You have cars going by, you have just straight up wind, and then you just have the humming of a VHS machine. You have the intro, which is some song that I think the guy that directed it and wrote the song as well. Opening credits are literally just in-camera effects of a VHS camcorder, 6 minutes long. 6 minutes long, nothing to look at, and just this song that isn't that great. But like I said, in my opinion, unwatchable is up for debate. I think a movie can be anything but boring. If a movie is boring, I'm bored, obviously. I'm out. I'm done. I'm unengaged and I stop paying attention. And I'm not saying that happens with every movie. I'm not just waiting there like looking at my watch and have my phone in my hand. But when a movie does bore the shit out of me, I make a big mental note and it drops, its rating goes exponentially down immediately. So Black Devil Doll from Hell, it's much more of a horny movie than it is a straight up slasher. It's just a doll fucking this same woman over and over again. It's worth a look. I don't think this guy was trying to be ironic when he made it, and I think it's disingenuous and kind of disrespectful to put it in that everything is terrible / The Room, like hipster so bad it's good kind of category. I think you just take it for what it is, and it's this guy was really trying, and I've seen worse movies, but still I've seen better movies, so 1 star. Lastly is Pierre Le Fou. I just don't connect with Godard at all. I've seen Breathless and I've seen this, and I didn't like either of them. I feel like his movies are made for 14-year-olds to scroll through on Tumblr. I remember when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, I was working in retail and I was working with this woman, and she asked me what kind of books I like at one point. And I said, well, you know, I like some poetry, I like some philosophy, those kind of things, whatever. And she kind of scoffed and like turned up her nose and like, oh, I grew out of that. And at the time I was like, okay, fuck you, whatever. But I turned 35 this week, and I kind of understand that now. Poetry is usually fucking annoying, and to be an idealist after the age of 30 is literally a waste of time. Not on some right-wing conspiracy fucking pipeline bullshit, but I just think we're not going to round the corner of society not being fucking terrible in my lifetime, so I'm not an idealist. Obviously, I like art. That's why I'm doing a film YouTube channel. But I don't like when movies talk at you about authors, philosophers, poets, and their ideas. Their ideas. I like when a filmmaker tells you the filmmaker's ideas. I don't like when they just kind of, they take in so-and-so philosopher or so-and-so novelist, and then they kind of regurgitate out their take on it, and sometimes they're aligned and sometimes they're not. This movie starts with a guy reading in the bathtub, smoking, and talking about Baudelaire and, you know, Balzac. I watched the Abel Ferrara film The Addiction recently, which that's not about what I thought it was, but that movie shoehorns in Jean-Paul Sartre and, you know, Martin Heidegger's philosophy so fucking hard, and it just doesn't work. And this film kind of, it didn't do it as much, but it did the same kind of thing. I just don't go to movies for that. It's a visual art form. It's a visual medium. I think it's lazy to just name drop a philosopher. Like, here's a reference.
You don't speak because of Friedrich Nietzsche. Far out.
Here's an author, here's a philosopher, and either you're hip to it and hopefully we're on the same wavelength, or you've completely lost an audience member, or they're sitting there Googling. I don't like that. As a filmmaker, you have such a creative outlet to display your own worldview and your own philosophy, and the good filmmakers do that. Pierre Le Fou did have some cool shots. I like the use of color. I'm always going to acknowledge when a film is not washed out and look like a fucking David Fincher film. But the dialogue was annoying. It was this prepubescent, like, oh, I wish my life was like a novel. Grow up, shut up. This guy was like 30 when he made this.
C'est de cela qu'il s'agit. Puis maintenant, je ne suis suis pas là. J'arrive, j'entre dans la pièce. Pour toi, je n'existe vraiment qu'à partir de là. Or, avant, j'existais. Je pensais. Je souffrais peut-être.
To an extent, I kind of expected like French Bonnie and Clyde, and there is some of that, but not enough. And those elements are so abrupt that they don't carry any weight. You don't care. So yeah, this was just like a half-assed daydream about dropping out of your normal whatever life with your fling, and then just doing crime and traveling. 1 star. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day. I know I will. Stay hydrated and watch movies you want to watch. Don't shuffle your watch list. I think the real takeaway is don't put things on your watch list you don't really give that much of a shit about. I see people with like 1,000 entry watch lists. I'm paring mine down all the time. Life's too fucking short. I'm never gonna turn something down just for the sake of turning it down. I always want to be open to new movies, but like I knew I hated Breathless. Why did I put this other Godard film on here? I don't know. Black Devil Doll from Hell. I could have went my whole life and never seen that and been fine. So yeah, don't do that. Anyway, have a good one. Thank you.